2011, 2012 Schweitzer Fellow. And I just have to say, Charles, there's a special spot in my heart for you and the work that you've done, because he really has had a profound impact on the communities that he's been working with, and is now the founder and CEO of an organization called Fathers Uplift, which he is going to talk a little bit about today. But he really is a shining star and an example of the type of leader of tomorrow. Today, I would say you're a leader of today, who really is having a profound impact. So I'm going to give the mic over to Charles. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Thank you for coming out. Thank you, Scott, for the introduction. Welcome, fellows, current fellows, past fellows, fellows for life, and thank you, everyone, for supporting what we do here. And I'm just going to tell you a quick story before I tell you a little bit about the organization. Well, I was raised in Atlanta, Georgia, and I grew up in a Baptist church, right? And I remember the day when I was baptized. And if you don't know about the Baptist tradition, it's a part of Christianity. And pretty much what they mean that you've been baptized is that, okay, you're born new, right? So what they do is they dip you in the water and they bring you out. But I'm going to tell you the day that it happened. I was 10 years old, and I remember standing in the tub with my pastor, right? And my mom was in the audience, and I remember the church was packed. It was packed full to capacity, right? And I was standing in the tub of water, and the pastor stood beside me, right? And I remember the church started to sing, "Take him to the water. Take him to the water. Take him to the water to be baptized." And they kept singing it. Why don't we try to sing it together? Take him to the water. You got some beautiful voices. Take him to the water. Take him to the water to be baptized. And the church began to hum that song, and I stood in the tub right next to the pastor. And I looked in the audience, and the pastor said with a strong voice, "Will the family of this young man please stand?" And I looked out in the audience, and I seen my mom stand. See, I grew up in a single-parent household, and in my mind, I knew that my mother was going to stand. But then I didn't know if anyone else was going to stand for me. And the pastor said it again with a strong voice, "Will the family of this young man please stand?" And the whole church stood for me that day. The whole church stood for me and helped my mother raise me. And at that particular moment, I knew that I wanted to make a difference. And now when I reflect back to that moment when I was 10 years old standing in that church, I think about the hymn they sung, and I thought about how important it was for them to stand in the gap for me. When my mother helped my mother raise me. And at that particular time, now I realized that if I refuse to stand in the gap, generations of young children without parents and generations of fathers, they would fail, right? So I'm going to stand in that gap today, and as a result, Fathers Uplift Fellowship gave me the wonderful opportunity to put my pain and put my work to life. And as a result, because the church stood for me, I'm able to stand for fathers and low income, men who suffer from child support payments, men who have criminal records, who may not be able to engage with their children. And because Fathers Uplift and Fathers Uplift Fellowship gave me the opportunity to start Fathers Uplift, now we get to increase fathers' self-confidence in being able to engage with their kids. Right? We help many fathers get their own housing. Now they have a place to bring their kids to come visit them. We help fathers get their criminal records together to feel better about themselves. Right? And I'm going to tell you this story right quick. I was in New York City recently, and I was at an anger management training, and Dr. Richard Pfeiffer, founder of the anger management, said, "You know what, Charles," and I thought he was talking to me, even though he wasn't, but I think he was talking to everybody. But I took it personal at that particular moment. And he said, "Charles, when people are angry, they should ask, 'Who am I?'" And, after that, he continued the training. Then I wanted to go back to that question. So towards the end of the training, I said, "Dr. Pfeiffer, I struggled with that question that you asked me when you said, 'Who am I?' Because I really know that I'm sexy. I know that I'm dark, and I know that I'm a beautiful person, but there's a part of me, right, that struggles with who I am." And then I thought about many of the men that I work with, right? And I thought about their struggles, right? And a part of them know who they are, right? But when they ask themselves, right, am I really how society views me? Am I really the criminal record that I have? Am I really the criminal record that makes me get rejected from tons of jobs? Right? Am I really high child support payments that I cannot even afford? And because I can't afford it, I get looked down upon because I can't afford it. Am I really those child support payments? Am I really my criminal record? And I told them that there wasn't a conflict. At that moment, they really confirmed for me, you know what, Charles? You got to tell them who they are. They're not their past. They're not their mistakes. They're not how the system treats them. They're powerful. They're greater. They're powerful beyond measure. They can do anything. They can do anything if they put their mind to it. They are great fathers, and their past doesn't define that. And as I close, I wanted to share an experience with you recently that I received a letter that was written to my organization. Now, a part of my organization, we're partnering with the Boston Children's Museum. And what we do is we do visits to the Children's Museum with low-income men who may not be able to afford visits to the Children's Museum. And we recently took a group of fathers and a group of single mothers who really didn't have men in their children's lives to the Children's Museum. And I give many thanks to Albert Schweitzer Fellowship for the start. And there's this little girl named Jalea. Jalea was 6 years old. And after she visited the Children's Museum, I know she had such a good time, but then she brought this letter back to me and gave it to my program. And the letter reads, "To my grandpa's program, thank you for taking me to the Children's Museum. I had fun. My favorite thing was basketball and the golf balls. Thank you. From Jalea McHeroy." And at that particular moment, I knew for a fact that when I touch a father, when they feel powerful about themselves, when they feel good about themselves, I touch a child like Jalea, right? And I thought about my father. What if somebody had been there to help him? It would have made a tremendous difference in my life, just like it's making a difference in Jalea's life. Right? So thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share with you a little bit about the organization.
Thank you, Charles. And you should definitely go chat with Charles again. This is just one of many, many stories he has about the impact he's been able to make. And it all started with his project with the Albert Schweitzer Fellowship. So thanks again, Charles.